fellow mechaniacs and non-orc hobbyists, and welcome back to another episode of Sork's Mech Shop. Today we're going to do a shorter video focusing tightly on a common airbrushing technique known affectionately as the Zenithal Prime. A Zenithal Prime is just a mostly top-down spray of a lighter color, in our case white, over a darker base prime. This spray will catch on the upward-facing surface of the model and is a reasonable simulation of light striking the model. You can use the same approach for directional lighting as well if it's not coming from above. For example, if your model's standing next to a fire or holding a lantern. While you can also use this technique with a rattle can, in my opinion, it is the best way to get started airbrushing and to build skills along the way. It allows you to practice your trigger control and aiming your paint without worrying too much about getting the paint mix right or making mistakes. And so it's a great way to get a use out of your airbrush as soon as you get it. You can gain confidence about getting in close or shooting from a distance. You will learn when you're putting out too much paint or not enough, and nothing you do here will be unrecoverable. Just layer up from here, put on any other paints you want to, and your model will be fine in the end. Let's get started. Okay, so here we have a Eldar Spirit Seer that's been primed black just with a rattle can. We're going to use this Liquitex titanium white ink to do our Zenithal Prime. Got it in my airbrush here, and we start off just holding it horizontally. That way we've got good flow from the pot down to the airbrush tip, and just kind of very gently spraying it from the head down, just kind of going back and forth. And it's difficult to tell from this angle of the video, but I'm really doing very, very small bursts of white, a lot of air. And the reason you do it that way is really to prevent too much ink from spraying out. You're really just trying to get a little bit of build up at a time, layer by layer. And as you can see also, I can get in pretty close that way without worrying too much about making a mess. And you can see pretty quickly, this is not accelerated in any way, this is a real-time video. You can see right away how this Zenithal Prime is already starting to pick out the details of the model. And this is a technique that's often used for slap chop, if you've heard of that online. Some people use dry brushing for it. I like to use airbrushing for it. But frankly, even if you don't, and we'll do slap chop in another video, but even if you don't use it for slap chop specifically, one of the things I like about doing a Zenithal Prime like this is that it really gives me a good visual clue as to where all the edges of everything is on the model, where the things are that I want to emphasize, where the things are that have borders with other pieces, etc. And the other thing you can do with it is deviate a little bit from the pure straight down. If there's something you really want to have jump out on the model, like the face, for example, or a weapon, then you can kind of zoom in with the airbrush. You can get in real close, give it a couple of small bursts of the white to highlight it even more. Some artists will call this a value sketch, where you're essentially creating a higher value or a brighter color in the areas of the model that you want to emphasize. And so that way, when you're done with the whole thing, you can kind of look around it. You can sort of see what areas are going to receive focus from the viewer. And again, you may or may not actually paint with thin enough paints to see this at the end of the day, but it's going to be very useful as you're building your layers, as you're building your other paints on it, to know exactly where you want to highlight and where you want to shadow the other layers of paint. If you do thin layers of paint, if you do like translucent paints, which we'll show in another video, then having those darker recesses and the brighter highlights will sort of give you a pre-shade and a pre-highlight all in one go, which will affect those layers above and reduce your workload a little bit and kind of give you a jump start on those other techniques that you might want to be doing later on. And here we are just about done. I'm giving another couple bursts on the head just to give it a little bit of highlight, a little bit more emphasis. One shot or two shots sometimes will just turn out gray, so you just keep going until you get it white if you want it to be white. So that's pretty much all there is to zenithal priming. Nice, simple, and straightforward. I will tell you that when I first started airbrushing, this is all I used it for, other than laying down black primer. Airbrushing for primer takes a little longer than using rattle can in my experience, but it has the advantage that you can do it indoors with proper ventilation, and so you're not beholden to the weather. And a bottle of airbrush primer lasts much, much longer than a similarly priced spray can. Zenithal priming itself is also a nice middle ground between having a light primer for vibrant colors and having a dark color for hiding the hard to reach areas. And as I said in the beginning of the video, it's an excellent way to learn airbrush control while also bringing value to your model painting process. As you could tell from the real-time footage, it took me only about 3.5 minutes to add the white ink to this model, which is a minor cost in exchange for the overall value it brings to the next layers of paint, especially if I'm going to do something like a yellow, which is notoriously hard to do over black. If you enjoyed this video, and in particular if you prefer this shorter format to the longer ones I did recently, please let me know in the comments below. Until next time, fellow hobbyists, keep on looting.